the question is, what optimization processes should we use for optimal efficiency and to maximize the value of our investments? So that's a business case question.
Yeah, no, it's a great question too, and it's important to consider, because I think as we've done a transition, obviously, from infrastructures that ran in-house or in data centers into the cloud, it was easy to be tempted, I guess, just to do a lift and shift. So I guess the kind of the mess or the sprawl that had happened over a couple of decades of virtual servers that just kept getting spun up, it'd be easy to come along and say, well, let's just pick all those up, put it in the cloud, and go from there. I think the challenge with doing that is that if you don't consider some efficiency and some pruning in that process, you'll end up with a very big surprise, as people often talk about the bill shock of moving those workloads that, traditionally they didn't necessarily cost you a lot to spin up a VM on premise, but when you get it into a cloud, you're paying for every hour of every day that, say, a VM is running. So I'd certainly suggest that as people move into those environments, it's important to consider, do you actually really need this VM anymore, or this traditional workload anymore, or is there a way to optimize it? And in some cases, the answer to the optimization is yes, you could containerize part of the application. And some answers to the question, the optimization might come about by running the VM as a container. So that's another sort of concept that exists as well. It may be that you want to pull out a particular service and run the service with the cloud vendor's native services. And I can see there's a question there from Tim that we'll get to later about what that might look like. But I think really getting in and understanding what your workload is and what you need to keep and what you don't, it's really important to sort that out. There is billions of VMs running today that have a big fat operating system and maybe just running one particular application executable. Being able to identify what that is and what value it provides and pull it out and cut off all the fat, so to speak, that has to happen from an efficiency perspective. And again, once you get up into the cloud, there is an ongoing process that has to happen as well. And certainly the work we've done with Spot by NetApp allows that to be done automatically. So we've seen situations where customers can have their cloud usage automatically analysed by machine learning and artificial intelligence techniques that comes as a cloud service from NetApp to basically provide recommendations about what parts of the infrastructure or the cloud services can be turned up and turned down to really tune that efficiency. And in some cases, we're seeing up to 80% efficiency improvements from a cost perspective when doing that. But it's those activities that really have to be conducted. There's a new phrase, I guess, we've heard about DevOps, DataOps, SecOps, and the new phrase that's out there, particularly in the cloud world, is one of FinOps. So someone who's responsible for the financial operations of the cloud services and infrastructure and IT infrastructure services, who really pays attention to, all right, is this the best way or most efficient way to be delivering it? And I think Kubernetes can play some part in that and containerization, but I think it's a holistic approach where Kubernetes and containerization is part of your toolkit for doing that. It's not necessarily the silver bullet, so to speak.
All right, brilliant. Ray, would you like to add to that?
Yeah, I just want to emphasize some of the points that Andrew made. Like traditionally, it was a capex investment, right, in order to get your virtual machines up and running, and then it's done. That's it. And nowadays it's all per minute billing. And so, yeah, there are a lot of optimization processes that you can take into account there, not just the idea of ephemeral nodes in your Kubernetes node pool scaling up and down according to requirements, but also potentially preemptible nodes, which are far more cost efficient, but can disappear at any moment. So long as you've got a fairly robust, stateful, persistent strategy for them, then great efficiencies can be attained like that. The other beauty really of moving towards containerization services, no longer using one application per virtual machine with 16 gig available, but only 4 consumed because it's load profile. But you're packing dozens and dozens of various size loads into a node pool, and the orchestrator is making the best possible decisions it can in order to shift those around on demand. The bin packing beauty of Kubernetes is really, one of the finest selling points for efficiency, I believe.
All right, excellent. Matt?
Yeah, I'll just reinforce. The clouds work by providing a lot of excess capacity, and the ability to use that excess capacity at a very cheap click rate is at the expense, as Ray was saying, as they can turn that off at any moment. What that app can do is manage your entire, not only your Kubernetes, but now also your storage, all that persistent storage capability dynamically for you. And what we do is we run that on the spare capacity. And as we see the spare capacity starting to be consumed, we dynamically hot move those containers onto reserved instances and more expensive parts of the cloud that won't be turned off. And then we move them back again. So the ability to run your entire container clusters in any cloud dynamically, and you focus on the innovation, you focus on running those apps, means you save a lot of money, but also your developers aren't drinking coffee at the coffee shop waiting for stuff to happen. They're writing code, which is what you want them to be doing.